This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It sure is great being here helping you with playing the guitar. In this mini course, it is all about fingerpicking chords, and this is lesson 20 in that course. In this lesson, we're going to continue to work with the Travis pick. So, in the last lesson, I introduced the Travis pick, which is a great fingerpicking pattern. With the Travis pick, though, as I mentioned in the last lesson, it works best on chords that use the top 5 or top 6 strings. But for ones where we're just using the top 4 strings, it's problematic. So we're going to look at how we can handle that when we're just using a chord that has the top 4 strings. So we'll go ahead and take a look at it. So, in review, we start out, and I'm just going to do it here with a C chord, but we pinch thumb and middle, and the middle is going to always pluck that second string for the moment, and our thumb is going to pluck the bass note on that pinch. So we just do a little pinch there. Then with the lowercase p, we're going to play the 4th string. That's the way that I explained it in the last lesson. We always pluck the 4th string, and then index plucks the 3rd. So then here it's broken, thumb, middle, so bass, middle, and then the alternate of that 4th string, index. So with that C chord, and this sounds so good on C, it works just like that. So what happens when we have a chord where we're just playing the top 4 strings? Well, we're kind of in trouble because this formula doesn't work. And so if we look, like for D7, if we're looking at this first one here, I've got G, C, and D7. We could practice this on G as well, getting that pattern going on G. With the G chord, our thumb with the bass note is on the 6th string, and we still pluck the middle and then still skip over the 4th string. So that's how that would work for a G chord. So for G and C, it works great. But what do we do for D7? Uh-oh, it's just on the top 4 strings. So what we can do for D7 is take our whole hand and move it to a higher string set. What that means is my index in standard positioning, and we've learned this through all the first 19 lessons, our index always plucks the 3rd string, our middle always plucks the 2nd string, and our ring, which we're not using with this pattern, always plucks the top string. So what we can do is move positioning. So we take our index and middle, and we move them to 1 string higher. So now my index is going to pluck the 2nd string, and my middle is going to pluck the high E string. And then what happens with my thumb is it still plucks the bass note of the chord, which is the 4th string for any chords that are just on the top 4 strings. And then for the alternate, it's actually going to pluck the 3rd string instead of the 4th string. So on D7, I'm staying on the top 4 strings. My thumb plucks the open D or the open 4th string. My index is going to pluck that 2nd string. My middle is going to pluck the top string, and then my thumb for the alternate bass, which is written here in the lowercase p on beats 2 and 4, is going to pluck the 3rd string. So it works just like that. Now in the chord progression, I have 2 written up here on the board, so you can practice it with 2 different chord progressions. But we're starting off with G, C, G, D7, G, C, D7, G. What I can do is on G and C, I can go to sort of that standard positioning to C, standard positioning, and I'm doing twice per chord here. G, standard. Then when I get to D7, I just have to move everything up to the new string set. Then when I get to G, I go back to this standard, up to C, and then for D7, I take my whole hand and move it up a string, so everything's transferred up and back to G. Okay, so we can go ahead and do this pattern 2 times per chord. So 2 measures per chord, meaning twice on this pattern per chord. 1, 2, ready, and we got G, C, could do it once per chord. So one measure per chord. 1, 2, ready, and G, C, G, D7, G, C, D7, and G. Now, sometimes we might not like the sound of switching strings. It sounds like this huge jump when we move to D7, where I'm plucking the inside strings on G and C to suddenly plucking those higher strings on D7. Sometimes that might bother us, sometimes it might not. But what we can also do is actually do all of these chords from the higher positioning, where index is going to always pluck the second string, middle is going to always pluck the top string, and then the alternate thumb will always pluck the third string. And then the thumb will pluck the bass note. So for G, I would be jumping quite a ways from that low 6th string to that 3rd string. So that's how that would work on G. Then for C, I'd be jumping from that 5th string all the way to that 3rd string. And of course D7 would just be as is. So if we were to play the progression that way, we would have 1, 2, ready, and we had G, C, G, D7, G, C, D7, and G. Now you might find it easier if you're going to do that to actually use the pattern that we did in lesson 18, which used the ring finger, thumb and ring, because it would get the same result. It probably is a little bit easier when we're staying on those high strings. Okay, now I also put up here on the board so we can practice with A, D, and E7. So we'd have A for the standard positioning. We got the thumb, index, and middle, so the thumb always going to play that bass note on the 5th string, and then the alternate thumb on the beats 2 and 4 was going to play the 4th string. So in that standard positioning, we'd have the A. You can practice it a little bit on A. Just get comfortable with A. Then for D, we'd move up to those top 4 strings. So with the alternate option, to use the 3rd string as our alternate bass pluck on beats 2 and 4, and then the 4th string is our thumb pluck. So we have the D, just like D7. So you can get comfortable there. And then for E7, we'd be back to that standard positioning, going between the 6th string and the 4th string with our thumb. If we do 2 times per chord on this one, we're going to have A, D, A, E7, A, D, E7, A. We'd have 1, 2, ready, and A, D, A, and E7, and A, and D, and E7, and back to A. We could do the same thing, but 1 time per chord. We'd have 1, 2, ready, and A, D, A, E7, A, D, E7, and A. Just like that. Okay, so that wraps us up for this lesson, wraps us up with the Travis pick that can be used in 4/4 time. And as I mentioned in the previous lesson, when you have 2 chords per bar instead of 1 chord lasting the whole measure, you can use the first half for the first chord and the second half for the second chord, or you can use the first half for the first chord and then use the first half again for the second chord. So I've done that example a little bit before in the last lesson, so I won't do it again here, but I hope that helps. I hope that's super fun. In the next lesson, so in lesson 21, we're going to look at moving other patterns to other string sets. So that's what we'll be doing next. Keep having fun with the guitar, and I'll see you next time. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.